Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be book series that I just haven't finished yet, whether that's because I just haven't read them or because I have no more interest in reading them or whatever the case may be. I do not have all of my books here with me right now. I do have a lot that are still in storage, and until I get new bookshelves and things like that, I'm going to leave them in storage. But I do still have quite a few books here, so I'm not going to go into detail, like a lot of detail about any book, just to try to keep this video on the shorter side. So let's just jump right in with the first series that I'm going to talk about. And if you guys have been watching even just my past couple of videos, you probably already know what the series is. And that is the series Black Dagger Brotherhood by J.R. Ward. This, of course, being the first book, Dark Lover. I am currently reading the series. I just haven't finished it yet. Nobody has finished it yet because it is an ongoing series, but I am not caught up to the newest release. I am, like I said, I am currently reading it. I think I'm only 8 or 9 books in right now, so I am pretty behind because I believe there's 12 books out. I think, if like including the spinoffs, I think there's 12, maybe 13. And the newest book to the series does get released in April next month. So I'm very excited for that. But I am working my way slowly through the series. This is one of those series that I just like to be in the right kind of frame of mind to read it. I like to be in the right mood to read it. There's a lot of heavy topics throughout this series within the plot. And I mean, I like to be in the right kind of mindset, and I also like to really enjoy the books because there is quite a bit going on, and you kind of bounce back and forth between different characters. So because of that, I just like to take my time. So Black Dagger Brotherhood, I haven't finished reading yet. I don't know how many more books will come out to this series, but I'm hoping she does a bunch more because so far I am really highly enjoying the series. I highly recommend this series if you haven't read it yet to give it a try. The next book I have to talk about, or the next series, I should say, that I have to talk about is a series by Dorinda Jones, and it's the Davidson series. This is the first book, which is First Grave on the Right. This is kind of like a cozy mystery series. I really, really enjoy this as well. I also am not currently reading it, but I am still reading it. I've read the first 2 books in this series so far, and I'm really, really liking it. They're short. You can fly through these books really quickly. I usually finish off one of these books in one sitting within like maybe an hour or 2, maybe 3 hours. Like, they're really short. You can fly through them really, really quickly, and I highly, highly enjoy them. They are an adult series, so be prepared for that. Black Dagger Brotherhood, as I mentioned before, that's also an adult series. Just so be prepared for that going into it if you're not familiar with it. But this is a really good series. I own the first, I think, 4 books to this series, and I've read the first 2. So far, I'm liking it. I believe this is also still going, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. I like these whenever I'm just in the mood for something kind of really short and quick to read. That's when I like to pick these kinds of books up. The next series I have here to talk to you about is by Charlene Harris, and that is the Southern Vampire Mystery Series, also known as the Sookie Stackhouse series, also known as the True Blood series. And I have the first book here, Dead Until Dark. I don't even remember what book I'm on. I think I'm on book 6 or 7 in this series. This is one of those series, again, it's really short. You can fly through these books pretty quickly. But this, again, is one of those book series that I will read when I'm in the mood for it. Again, this is another adult series, so keep that in mind if you want to pick these up. But yeah, I don't know. I like them. I liked the show as well. I do like the books more than the show. But I have other interests in other books right now, so these have kind of taken a back seat. But I do really like this series, and I do plan to continue it eventually. The next book I have to talk about, or the next series, is by Yasmin Gilnorn, and it is the Otherworld series. I have book 1 here, which is Witchling. I do own and have read the first 2 books to this series. I just haven't bought any more of them. I'm not entirely sure why. This is a supernatural series. I believe it is an adult series, I think. If I remember correctly, I think it might be an adult series. I can't honestly remember. It's been a long time since I read these books, but it is a good series from what I remember. I did enjoy the first 2 books from what I remember. I just haven't picked up any of the other ones again, and you'll notice that's kind of a running theme with quite a few of these book series that I'm going to talk to you about, is other books have just kind of piqued my interest more, so I've been buying other books instead of continuing some of these series. Not that I don't want to continue them. I will eventually continue them and finish them off. But for right now, I just have other books I want to read. The next series I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit tricky because I do own a lot of these books, but nowhere close to the entire series. And that is the Dragonlance series. Now, this particular book is Dragons of Autumn Twilight. This is the first book in the original Dragonlance Chronicles trilogy by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. There are many authors who contribute to the Dragonlance series. Many authors. Many authors. There's a lot of books to this series, you guys. There's, I think, close to, if not over, 100 books to this series, and it's still going. I am nowhere close to that. I think I am like... And I'm not reading them in order either, which is kind of weird. I read the original trilogy first. So I did start with the original trilogy that started it off. But I did not read in any particular order after that. I am basically only following the books that deal with the characters from the original trilogy. So there's a lot of books I haven't read. There's a lot of books I don't even own. I don't own the majority of the books to this particular series. It's a long one, you guys. So if you do want to sit down and read this series and get all of the books for it and everything else, it is a big time investment. These books are very descriptive, which can make it take a little bit longer to get through. They're also pretty thick books as well. I believe they are roughly like around the 500 or more page mark. So, I mean, these books are pretty hefty, and they're very good though. Like, all of that being said, like, these are very good books. I very highly enjoy these books. I just, again, have other interests currently, but I am planning to do a reread of this series. I want to start back at the beginning and completely work my way through all of the books that I have, and then eventually I can get more of them. That is something I do want to do. So I'm hoping to maybe sometime this year start rereading these again, because it's been so long, and a lot of you guys liked my Dragonlance reviews that I was doing on this channel a couple of years ago. But I honestly, it's been so long since I've read them, I don't remember everything that was going on. So in the meantime, I'm gonna like halt on those. That's why there haven't been any. I would like to reread this series, start over, and then I can like do reviews as I go, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, so this series, very good. The next series I'm going to talk to you about is by PC and Kristen Cast, and that is the House of Night series. This is the first book marked, and yeah, I don't know what to say about this series other than I do enjoy it. It is a young adult series. It is short. The books are relatively short. You can fly through them pretty quickly and easily. And the main reason for this series, for me not continuing it, is actually because I don't own the other books. I was borrowing the entire series from a friend of mine, but it's been really hard for us to get together. She lives quite a distance away from me by a couple of hours, so it's just been a little bit hard to get our schedules aligned, to get together and hang out and stuff. So I just never bothered to pick up the other books yet. I will eventually. I do want to finish this series. I just don't know quite when. The next series I have to show you is by Andrea Kremer. I actually don't know what this series is called. I'm going to call it the Nightshade Series. And the first book is Nightshade. This is a werewolf series. I have to be in a very specific mood to read a werewolf series. I am more of a vampire person, as you guys probably are well aware by now. Werewolves kind of take a back seat for me. I'm not huge into werewolves. I do enjoy werewolf books. I just don't read them nearly as often. This particular book did have points in it where I wasn't a huge fan. That goes with a lot of books for a lot of people. But it was good. It just wasn't great, I guess. So I just never bothered to pick up any of the other books to this series. I do own the second book. Let me reiterate that. I do own the second book. I just haven't picked it up. And I haven't bought any of the other books to this series. I don't know how many books there are to it, but I may continue with it at some other point in time, just not right now. So the next series I have to show you guys is by Rochelle Mead, and that is Vampire Academy. This series got so much hype whenever, like, it blew up on BookTube, especially whenever, like, Twilight was a big thing. A lot of people were raving about the Vampire Academy series. I read the first book, which is Vampire Academy. I do own, I think, almost all of them. I think I'm only missing one book to this series. I think only one. I think I'm only missing one. However, it was good. It was okay. It's a young adult series, so, it had a lot of, your typical young adult tropes in it. And it was good. I watched the movie and hated it. So, that happens. My main reason for not liking the movie is because I wasn't a fan of the cast they chose for the characters. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it was okay. It was okay. I just don't feel the push to continue it. I might eventually continue it, but for right now, I just don't want to. So I'm not going to bother right now. I may eventually pick it up at some other point in time, just maybe. I don't know. I might not. I don't know. I'm not sure. This one's kind of an undecided one for me. The next series I have to talk to you about is an adult series. Very heavily adult. Let me just say that. It's a very heavily adult series. And it's by E.L. James, and that is the 50 Shades Trilogy. So this is obviously the first book, 50 Shades of Grey. I read this book. I do own the entire trilogy. I read this book, and I didn't read the other two. This book is a little bit more than I typically read as far as adult situations go, and as far as adult situations are concerned. And while I, myself, am very familiar, or at least I try to be extremely familiar with, like, the BDSM community, and this book is heavily BDSM, it's not painting BDSM in a great light. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. But not something that I'm, like, dying to read. Now, I do like the movies, for the most part. But the books, I'm kind of meh on them. Yeah, I don't know. I picked up the second book. I think it was probably back in November. I think I picked up the second book and I read maybe 4 or 5 chapters out of it, put my bookmark in it, and just never picked it back up. I kind of lost my interest really quickly. And that's the only problem with these books as well, that are so heavily focused on the adult situation side of it, or the adult, the over-sexualization and stuff. It's just, it loses my interest really fast. I don't know if I will continue this trilogy. I might not. I'm not entirely sure. But for now, it's definitely taken a way far backseat. I have no interest in picking this back up, at least not for quite a while. The next book series I'm going to talk to you about is by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll, and that is the Beautiful Creatures series. I read this first book. It's the only one that I own, and I didn't like it. So this particular series is one that I will not be continuing with. I have no interest at all in picking up any of the other books. I just didn't like it. It was just really slow for me. Again, I have a really big issue when books are very slow. I understand a lot of books need to have slow points to get certain things across, or to give you kind of a little bit of a breather between a lot of action scenes or anything. But this book as a whole, primarily until like the last, I don't know, couple chapters or whatever, this book is just slow. It's slow. The entire way through it is slow until like the ending. So I will not be continuing with this series. This one is one that I am DNFing. I'm not finishing this series. I'm not finishing this series. The next one I wanted to talk to you about is by Ellen Schreiber, and that is the Vampire Kisses series. This is a bind-up of the first 3 books. I have read all 3 of them, I believe. I've read all 3 of them. It's okay. This is a young adult one. A young adult vampire series. They're okay. I mean, they're not the greatest books that I've ever read, obviously. Not even close. But they're not the worst books I've ever read either. They are very clichéic. But at the same time, they do point out that they're being, that they're purposefully clichéic. Like, it's kind of an irony kind of thing. But, and I like that. But I just don't find much story progression. And that's my problem with this, is I just don't feel like there's enough story progression to keep me interested. I might continue it at some point just to see if it picks up anymore. But for right now, I just have other books that I would rather read way more than these ones. Now we are finally on to the final series that I'm going to talk about in this video, and some of you guys might get mad at me because this particular series is a well-beloved series, and oh boy, let's just do it. So that would be by Cassandra Clare, the Mortal Instruments series. This is the only book, City of Bones, which is the first book. This is the only one I've ever read in this series. I know I need to continue it. Everybody keeps telling me that I need to continue it, to give it another shot, and to continue it. My main issue with this first book was I got very heavily attached to Clary and Jace. And yeah, there's things that happened in this first book between the characters. I'm not going to spoil it. For those of you who have not read the series, I won't spoil it. But let's just say there's something that happens that really made me very angry, and I threw my book across the room, and I just haven't picked any of the other ones up yet. This one definitely, by far, got me way more than most of the other series I talked about, as far as feelings-wise, like stirring up strong feelings-wise. I do plan to continue this. I actually just went out and purchased, I believe it was last month, maybe the end of last month or something like that. I went out and purchased another one of the books to this main series here, the Mortal Instruments ones. I do not have any of like the Infernal Devices books or anything like that. So far, I only have the Mortal Instruments books. I think I'm only missing one of the books, and I think it's book 4 is the only one that I'm missing, and then I'll have all of the Mortal Instruments section, and then I'm planning to pick this up, give it a reread, and then continue through the series eventually. I want to wait till I get all of the books first, because I want to kind of do a little, maybe do a little marathon session with these. Not sure how I want to do that yet, or if I want to do it that way yet. But yes, so Mortal Instruments, haven't continued it. Probably will, just haven't yet. And right now, again, as I've mentioned many times in this video, I have other books that I want to read that are kind of taking my interest way more than these. So eventually I will, but not right now. That was it, you guys. That was all of the books. That was all of the books that I was going to talk about today, at least. So yeah, if you guys have read any of these book series, comment down below. What were your thoughts on them? Did you make it through the series? Did you not make it through the series? And what are your thoughts on them? And that's it. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for being with me during this long, tedious journey of, is she going to upload? Is she not going to upload? I know it's been crazy hectic. I've been doing much better so far this year. I know we're not very far into the year, but I've been doing better this year so far. I'm hoping that that just continues and escalates to more than one video a week, like on a regular basis. But we'll see. I'm going to take it slow. But if you guys do like the video and you're not subscribed and you like me and you peruse my channel and you like some of my other videos and stuff and you feel so inclined, please, please, please subscribe, like, comment, all of that kind of stuff, all the fun stuff. You guys know the drill by now. If you would like to follow me on any of my other platforms, I do have a Twitter, I have a Facebook, I have a Goodreads account, and a Snapchat. All links are in the description below. And that is it. I'm going to wrap it up and let you guys go, and I will talk to you in my next video very, very soon. Bye.